Hi, I'm really glad that you're back for episode 2. And I wanted to talk today about something that I don't think that we say out loud often enough, which is that your business is supposed to change. And when it doesn't fit anymore, that doesn't automatically mean that you've done something wrong. Most of the time, it just means that your life has changed. It's maybe shifted and your work hasn't quite caught up yet. Now, if we haven't met, I'm Jane Bilham and I'm the founder of Tuition, which is an online international tuition business that has grown from me tutoring face-to-face in a local library when my son was very small to somehow having a team of over 60 tutors that support students worldwide. And each week in the Tutor Edit, I will share my reflections from my own business and conversations that I've had with other tutors, not to tell you what to do, but just to pass on what I've learned through the lived experience over the last 12 years while I've been tutoring, so that you can make some intentional choices about a tutoring business that fits your real life. Now, when I look back at my own business, I can see lots of different versions of it, and every single one made sense at the time. And I'm going to talk to you about that today in this episode. Now, none of them were mistakes, even if they can feel like it at the time. They were just responses. And when I first started tutoring, I had a baby. I didn't start with a big plan or a vision for growth. I didn't think that I'd have a team. I always thought I'd go back to the classroom. I just started tutoring because I didn't want to go back immediately after having my son. I didn't want to go back to full-time work as a senior leader. And tutoring felt like a way to keep hold of part of myself. And evenings absolutely worked then, like they genuinely did, because it gave me some adult conversation. It gave me something that wasn't nappies and bedtime routines. It helped me to feel like me again. And I think that's really important to say, because sometimes we judge earlier versions of ourselves with the information that we have now. But that isn't fair. We were just doing what was best at the time. Now, when my children grew older, because at this point I had 2, evenings didn't feel the same anymore. And they stopped working as much because what I had gained from tutoring started to feel like a loss when my children went to school, because I wanted to be there at the end of the day. The whole point of me not going back to the classroom was to be around. And what I felt like was that my day would start when everybody else's had ended. And that's when I was fortunate enough to pick up a contact through a partner who has got me into doing international work, which was with students in China during the daytime. And that made absolute sense. Not because it felt clever or absolutely not a strategic move, but it was just something that presented itself and it fitted absolutely the season that I was in at that time. And then the business grew again because I was soon fully booked, and that brought a different kind of pressure, because not only was I teaching, I was also holding a lot of things in my head, planning, responding to messages. I wasn't really moving around much. I was sitting at my desk for 4 to 5 hours a day. I was not leaving the house, and that started to feel quite relentless in a different way. Obviously, it wasn't wrong and it suits a lot of people, but it started to not be healthy for me. So my business adapted again. And it was at that point that I started to grow a team. I mean, that was by accident, really, but that is a conversation for a different episode. But that shift wasn't really about ambition. It was about making this way sustainable. And this is where comparison can become incredibly unhelpful, because it's absolutely pointless comparing your business to someone who is in a completely different season of their life with different circumstances and different responsibilities. So I remember sitting in a co-working space once, and I was surrounded by other people who were working. They were completely absorbed with their heads down, getting on with their work. And I was absorbed in the task that I was doing. It was really important. I was really enjoying it and was close to finishing. But then I got a phone call from my son, and there was an issue that he needed me to become involved in. And I had to pack up my laptop, get home and provide some support. And yes, we can absolutely channel the gratitude of, aren't I so lucky that I get to do that? My job is so flexible that I can have this opportunity to be there. And absolutely, family will always come first. But there is that sense of frustration there too, that I looked around that room and nobody else was having to pack up their work because they were fielding a phone call from their children. But it was pointless me getting frustrated and irritated. It's just the circumstance and the season that I am in at that moment. Now, what works now might not work forever either. Now, the important thing to take away from this is that everybody is building their business to fit in with their own life, their own responsibilities, their own energy, and those things will not stay the same forever. Because what worked well for me when I had a baby did not work well when my children went to school. What worked when I went solo didn't work or doesn't work now that the business has grown. And what works now might not work forever either. And that's not inconsistency. It's simply being responsive to the circumstances that you find yourself in now. So if I could leave you with anything today, it would just be two really simple reflections. The first thing is just to name the season of life that you are actually in. Not the one that you want, not the one that you planned for, not the one that you see other tutors in, just the one that you are in right now. And the second thing is to notice that which things that used to work well for you maybe aren't serving you anymore. Maybe it's working evenings, maybe it's working weekends, maybe it's being constantly available, maybe it's doing everything yourself, maybe it's saying yes without thinking twice. Because if something that once felt fine now feels a little bit heavy or a little bit off, that does not mean that it was a bad decision. It just means that the situation, the season may have changed. And when you put those two things together, a lot of self-blame and frustration falls away. Now, you can start to be a little bit kinder to yourself and think, if I'm still running my business for a season in a way that doesn't fit what I am feeling now, it's not a failure, it's adaptation. And we are allowed to adapt because life is not static, it's forever changing. You don't need to overhaul everything. You don't need to have the next version figured out, because sometimes the most helpful thing that you can do is just to notice that your business is just asking to change shape and evolve again. It's not a sign that something's gone wrong. It's a sign that you're paying attention to what you're seeing and feeling around you. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you found it useful. If you have, please make sure that you like and subscribe. And if you think that it would be useful for someone else, feel free to share as well. I'll see you for the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Bye.